Exotic Gaming here with a video series that's going to cover 7 Days to Die's early alphas. In this series, I'll take a look back at some of the early alpha content, and we can see how much the game has actually changed throughout its development. Each video will cover specific alphas, so subscribe or comment if you have a specific alpha you want a deep dive into. Starting off here, of course, we gotta look at Alpha 1 first, which was released all the way back in 2013. The game wasn't on Steam and looked very much like a Minecraft clone from 2011. The whole UI of the game looks vastly different from what we see now in Alpha 20. The compass is gone in favor of a mini-map, and we can actually see our current level of water and thirst on the screen. Now, a lot of this stuff can be modded into the game now, but you gotta keep up with the updates for all your mods, and the game itself is constantly being updated, which makes your mods unupdated. So the hassle really is quite annoying. Now, this could possibly explain why some of the 13,000 people who backed the game on Kickstarter being a little bit upset. The game sure does look a lot different now in Alpha 20 than it did in Alpha 1 when they backed the game. A lot of the concepts from back then have also been messed with to a degree. Now, I'll go over some of the concepts that changed a little bit later, but the big concepts of the game have remained pretty stable. You build a base, you defend the base, don't starve or dehydrate, and don't become infected. This leads us to one of the main differences, however, being bases and zombies attacking your bases. The way players have designed their bases has changed a lot since Alpha 1. Back in Alpha 1, you could easily manipulate zombie AI and pretty much get away with a simple base or POI takeover and focus on other things as you explore the world. But as you all know, in Alpha 20, this has been complicated a lot throughout the years as the developers have managed to combat players coming up with unique ways to glitch the zombies AI. And it's not necessarily a bad thing that the game has changed into this, but it's turned from a tower defense type of game to maybe a castle citadel type of defense game. And there's so much complications that are involved with base designs that are just going to seem like they're going to get harder as the game's upgraded to Alpha 21 when zombie pathing will be changed again. And this all just shows how the game's evolved to be almost more of a base building type of focus than what it used to be. But let's get back to Alpha 1 specifically. Some of the crazy things that happened back then and were included in the game were there was no settings, for real. You could only kill yourself if you went into the menu. You couldn't mess with sound or anything graphic wise while you were in the game. You had to either quit or end your character's life. And this is just one of the many quirky things from Alpha 1. Some others are the pain of individually jumping up each block when you're going up a mountain. Oh my god, this sucked. It took forever to go over a hill. And then there was the fact you had to have ammo in your hotbar to reload your weapon. So if you ran out of ammo and you didn't have an extra set of ammo on you, you had to open your backpack and move it to the hotbar. And this also meant that when you went in your backpack, you couldn't actually use items from the backpack itself. You had to move it to your hotbar and then use it. So if you were thirsty or hungry, you had to do this. And it was just so dumb. But that's kind of what gave it its charm. I do miss some of the old things like shotgun mining, where you could just shoot down a whole tree with your shotgun and then pick up all of its parts. Now all of this is gone in favor of the simplicity of the straightforward approach that we have now, which I can understand. They want to reach a broader audience and make the game more widely acceptable, but a lot of the little things of the game are what a lot of players miss from these old alphas. But as we go along here, then we have the good old design your item with the parts like Minecraft, which made wikis for the game very important, and a lot of the game was more deep than it is now with what you had to research outside the game to get further. Now the game kind of just hands you everything and tells you specifically how to make certain items, and even gives you a lot of items way earlier than it used to. You don't have to go Google how to make a crossbow or a shovel, which I kind of miss. It gives you a gratifying feeling if you figure out how to build something. But now you can just pick up the game and pretty much start playing, and it will tell you how to pretty much survive. So, believe it or not, zombies were part of the game back then as well, and they kind of just spawned whenever and wherever they wanted, and it could be a very interesting experience. There were no sleeper zombies, and as I mentioned, the spawning was a little buggy. Some of you guys might remember these zombies specifically from Alpha 1. The decayed cheerleader, infected lady, and the nude walker. These were all removed later in Alpha 13, but they bring back some memories of the early game at least. And of course, a lot of these zombies are still in the game now with just enhanced looks or different names, like the Festering Corpse and the Plague Nurse. But back then, your biggest concern wasn't necessarily the zombies themselves, but more so the glitch spawns that could happen behind you while you were doing another task. You could easily headshot zombies back then, and pretty much a headshot was a guaranteed kill on any normal mode. Zombies couldn't sprint or lunge at you, or when they fell down, they were dead immediately. You didn't have to worry about them getting back up. But of course, you still had to worry about night when zombies could sprint, which was still a thing. Thank God you didn't have to worry about hornets or anything like that coming at you from all over the map while you were camped out on top of a gas station. Everything was just more cute in its own little way back then within the game world. Just look at the UI. The tool belt has little straps like a construction belt for tools. Even the color scheme of everything looks more rustic and authentic. Going into your backpack was only going into your backpack. There was no in-depth stats screen or character panel with the loot stage and what have you. It was very straightforward with what it was, which was basically a Minecraft clone with zombies. And that's how people pretty much explained the game to their friends back then. And graphically, it basically was a Minecraft clone. So as you can imagine, the game world was a lot smaller than it is now. There was no random generation or anything like that. And unlike Minecraft, the world did have a limit on how far you could travel. But that didn't stop players from trying and ultimately getting themselves killed. That's pretty much what I got for you guys on Alpha 1. I hope you enjoyed the somewhat throwback video on the game and its history, and let me know what you remember or want to see a video about next. I'm Exotic Gaming, and I do all kinds of content on 7 Days to Die. Subscribe if you're into that kind of stuff, and I'll see you guys later.